Yeah, let's get going. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this release webinar, GrownBy 3.8.5, which we released a little bit, about a week and a half ago now. And as you know, this webinar is to talk about the new features and updates that are in this release. This release is really fun because it includes wholesale, and it also includes like I would say most of the other big changes that we made in this release were things that were directly requested by some of you. And that's always nice. We like to have releases that are primarily driven by requests from farmers. So we are at number one in this this agenda. So introductions. I'll introduce myself. I'm Danny. I am the customer support specialist, so I respond to many of the support requests that come in from farmers and from shoppers, members, customers on the platform. And I also farm in Central Vermont. I have a sheep farm and I'm a cheesemaker, and so that's where I'm calling in from today. And I use they, them pronouns, and I will we have actually 3 other GrownBy staff members on the call today, so I'll let everyone else introduce themselves. Kara, do you want to start?
Yep, I'm Kara Fravor. I work on support with Danny and sometimes sales too. And I'm based in New York, and I use she, her pronouns.
Hey everyone, I'm Eric Sanrud. I farm flowers near Malacca, Minnesota. I'm the Director of Accounts and Partnerships at GrownBy. Been here for about 4 years, member owner like probably many of you, and I know Danny. And I use he, him pronouns.
Hello, my name is Sam Rose. I'm located in the Hudson Valley of New York. I manage an apiary at the moment, and I work on wholesale accounts here at GrownBy. He, him. Pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. So, and I would request and invite you all to introduce yourselves in the chat. You can put your name, your location, and your farm name into the chat. And if you're willing to share one thing that has gone really well, one success from the season, and or a thing that you would like to see change or improve about GrownBy, I'd love to see that. So the rest of the agenda will be, of course, what we're here to talk about, the updates that were made in this most recent release. And then we're also going to give some time to talk about pricing. Any of you all who are active farmers selling on the platform, which should be pretty much everyone here, will have received an email about a pricing update and pricing increase that we are introducing at the end of this year. And then we'll have some time for discussion and questions. So just some reminders, please remain on mute unless you're asking a question, just for the quality of our recording. To please introduce yourself, as I said, and we are recording this session. We've started recording already, so if you do not want to be recorded, please just leave your video off during the webinar. Awesome, let's get started.
All right, so the first and maybe like biggest, wildest feature that we released this time around is GrownBy Wholesale. And in a way, this is kind of like the biggest like feature we've sort of ever done, because it's almost a whole new version of GrownBy. So if you are selling on GrownBy Wholesale, you'll have separate farm shops for your customers. So there's a farm shop that's just wholesale and a farm shop that's just retail. There are specific wholesale settings, most importantly terms, but also there's like a cart minimum that's specific to GrownBy or to wholesale. And a couple of other things that are in there that are specific wholesale settings. And then you just invite your buyers, right? So the only buyers that can see shops on GrownBy Wholesale are those that have been invited by a farm. that is a quick overview of GrownBy Wholesale. I'll also say that Sam, who was our wholesale person who you heard from a minute ago, did a webinar, and that is recorded. That's a little bit more, that is definitely a more in-depth review of GrownBy Wholesale. And the next slide gives some other specifics. So there is a different order flow also to GrownBy Wholesale. So the customer, the like wholesale buyer, orders, and then that creates a draft order that the farmer can approve or decline. So you get like a notification, a customer has placed a draft order, and as the farm, you can edit things in that order. You can change the variable weights within that order. You can change location. There's just a lot of editing that you can do. You can also just approve it as it is, or deny it if you're like, who's this person? I'm not selling to them. Or if there's some other problem. And then you can fulfill the order. So you either can manually fulfill the order, just like a button that you say fulfill, or it will automatically, an approved order will automatically be fulfilled at the time when the distribution starts or the delivery route starts. That's kind of an important key. That's like when when there's like an officially the order is going out, and then an invoice is sent when the order is fulfilled, but then again at the moment that the terms come due. So if you have 30-day terms, the invoice is sent at the 30-day mark from the fulfillment. And yeah, so this is like we hope that this will be a really amazing opportunity for farms that are especially like doing having different marketing channels to be able to make wholesale a lot more professional and smooth and within the same. So with GrownBy Wholesale, the pick list and pack list and location summaries are all kind of brought together. What's the word for that? It's a C word. Not conjoined, combined. That's not what I'm looking for, but they're all together. So you can have a pick list that tells you all your wholesale orders and all your retail orders in one list. So it's just hopefully smoother, and it's a great experience for the buyer to be able to kind of see more details. And that we hear from a lot of farms, like, I'm just doing this all via text message and I'm dropping balls. And so wholesale, we hope, will be a new world of ease on GrownBy Wholesale. So that's that. And we, like I said, Sam recorded a video or webinar that's on YouTube. And then there's 2 upcoming, will you advance the slide, Danny? There's 2 upcoming webinars, one with Gorgeous Goat Creamery in New Jersey. And they have like tripled their wholesale customers this year. Both Gorgeous Goat and Park Ridge have been using beta versions of GrownBy Wholesale for a few months. So they have some experience. So they're presenting about that experience. And Park Ridge Organics, which has a custom CSA and has been using wholesale. So we're excited to hear from those 2 farms about their experience. And you should join for that if you're curious. You can also check out the recordings from those after.
I just wanted to add that one of the advantages of GrownBy Wholesale is that it puts all of your inventory in one place, right? So if you're already using GrownBy for retail or for CSA, especially custom CSA, where you have all of your products in the system, and then you're also selling wholesale on top of that, it means that you don't need to keep separate inventories for these different sales channels. So that's really helpful. Any questions at this point about GrownBy Wholesale? Cool. I will.
I have one question about the GrownBy Wholesale.
Yeah, please, James. Thank you.
With the will customers be able to see other people's wholesale, or is this kind of separate? Because one thing that I was a little bit concerned about is that, like, with the regular CSA or with ordering on GrownBy, like if a customer goes to the GrownBy website and is looking at my store and then they can switch to another person's store, you know, and it takes them to there. And so it kind of allows them to shop around. With the wholesale, you know, is that the same, or does this kind of become like a private website in a sense, or a private marketplace for you and your customers, your wholesale customers?
Yeah, it is the same as that, James. So, and I think that we built it that way intentionally, but I can definitely see what you're saying about it. Yeah, about it kind of allowing that comparison shopping. Hopefully the idea is that actually, you know, when customers get onto GrownBy, whether it's retail or wholesale, like they're there to buy local food. And so like maybe they find apples here, but then they're like, oh, I can also get my carrots from this other farm over here. So that's kind of the thinking behind making it more of a marketplace where people can just log in and like look in general for what they can buy. But yeah, it definitely is the case that people could comparison shop, and if someone does have a better price for something, or it's more convenient or whatever, then they could make that purchase. So,
and I would just say that to add to that, I mean, the other way to look at it is discoverability. You know, I mean, when you sign up for a farmer's market, you probably want a thriving farmer's market with lots of customers. And on the other side, the customers want to see a lot of farms with a lot of product to offer. So they kind of feed off each other. And that critical mass is what makes it a dynamic place. And so hopefully you would be picking up customers as well.
That totally makes sense. What's the point then of inviting the customers to your wholesale channel then? Like how does that differentiate itself then?
yeah, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I give it a shot. I mean, basically, you guys are the gatekeepers here. Like, we don't want just retail customers getting on and seeing your wholesale price list. We want legitimate buyers, and of course, you know, part of my job is actually going out and seeking those buyers. Like, as this platform gets going, institutions, you know, schools, those kind of things. But also, you as the farmers, hopefully, you're going to be bringing on your own customers, your own wholesale customers, and you do that by inviting them and having them register. And once they're in the system, their payment information is there, all that is there. That's what kind of gets this thing automated, so that they place orders, the order flow goes through till fulfillment, the invoice automatically goes out, and payments are then finally automatically made when term comes, so that you're not chasing them down.
Okay. And then, sorry, last question. So then from the customer's perspective, if they get an invite link from me as a farmer, then that basically kind of unlocks their customer account to my better prices. And then the new way of being able to like approve invoices.
Yes,
That is correct. Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and once someone has been invited to GrownBy Wholesale by a farmer, then they can see all of GrownBy Wholesale, meaning that they can see the other producers who are also on wholesale. And, you know, depending on where you are and what other farms are on GrownBy Wholesale, especially at this point, that's probably going to be just you, because, you know, it's a big country, or big continent. I mean, this is also totally available in Canada. But if you're in a market like the Hudson Valley, or, you know, a more competitive market with lots of farms and lots of buyers, then hopefully that's the kind of place where there's more discoverability happening and it becomes a more dynamic marketplace. But our hope is that for either of those situations and situations in between, that this is kind of a helpful tool set that helps people get organized around their wholesale, and potentially, hopefully, allows them to grow the wholesale portion of their business if that's something that they're looking to do. So, thanks for those questions, James. Really appreciate those. All right, I'm gonna jump into the next thing, which is rescheduling improvements. So one of the things, did someone have another question? I heard no. So rescheduling on GrownBy has been a bit limited in the past, and we've expanded it. So there's kind of two different categories that I'll talk about this from. One is the farmer side, which is the side that you're seeing here. So on the customer detail page, you can go to the pickups and deliveries section, and you can reschedule for a customer. And when you do that now, it used to be that the dates were a little bit limited in terms of what would display and what was possible. But now any date that's available for a given product on any schedule will be available for rescheduling for a given product. So that just makes things a whole lot easier. If you're a farm that has done rescheduling, has dealt with rescheduling in the past, then you'll recognize that this is a big improvement on our system. And then the other piece of it is from the customer side. And in this case, we've changed things a little bit. So now, the customer can reschedule, which was totally possible previously. But the other thing that is true about rescheduling from the customer side now is that they have to reschedule all of the products that are on a given date at once. So we no longer allow from the customer side just one thing to be rescheduled at a time. So yeah, those are the changes as far as rescheduling. Does anyone have any questions about that?
Danny, will you pause this video for a second?
I will pause this video. Can I pause this video?
I don't know.
I'm not actually sure I can do that. Or at least I'm not sure I know how to do it. Hold on. Pause. Nope, that's a presentation timer.
That's fine.
Sorry, Kara, I don't know how to do that.
Okay, so the fulfillment page changed for all of you using this. You probably noticed this immediately. It was previously called distributions. It's now called fulfillment. The page itself looks a little bit different. So there's the pick list. It's like your harvest list. You can still see that you can now see that in PDF as well as CSV and in this HTML view. There's still location summary, there's still sign-in sheets, and there's still your packing sheets. Your packing sheets, that's where labels are found. So the labels are under the export section. There's different filters for all of these. Most of these are the same filters, but there might be a few additional ones, including being able to filter your sign-in sheets by status. You will notice here, you can pull your customer emails from any of these fulfillment reports. You can no longer start an app-based sign-in from this page, which is fine because you can do that from your main dashboard. And I think that's kind of on this video here. So again, if you're not using app-based sign-ins, we really recommend it. You can find them here on your main dashboard. You can start any of your upcoming sign-ins, or there's an all button there as well. So that's where you'll find all that stuff. Probably most of you had a moment where you were like, what? And then you found the things, or some of you contacted us about it. But we hope that page is a little smoother and a little easier to use and a little clearer.
So the next thing to talk about is notification customization or notification settings. There were a number of farms over the years who have reached out to us and asked for more control over what emails, what notifications go out to them and to their customers. So if you're a farm on GrownBy who has, a couple hundred CSA members, and especially if you're running a customization, then you'll notice you would have noticed that you would have gotten, an email per order essentially. And the number of emails can become pretty overwhelming pretty quickly. So that's one use case. We've also had people who, they want to be able to change something about their pickup, and they want to be able to communicate independently of GrownBy about that change. So they don't want the notification to go out automatically. These settings, the admin side things are, they're powerful, but they're only going to impact you as the farmer. So as you can see, you can, turn off any of these types of notifications. It's by type. And then on the other side of it, the notifications to your customers, these are particularly powerful because if you turn off, say, an invoice due notification, that's going to mean that no invoice due notifications go out to your customers. And so you might end up with having more invoices that go unpaid as a result. So I just want to say that to say, there are reasons that these settings will be really helpful to some farms, but just think critically and carefully before you turn off all of the notifications to your customers, and make sure that it's not going to have unintended consequences down the line. But I think that there are a lot of farms who have been asking for this kind of control, and it'll be really helpful for certain situations, or even at certain times of the year you want to limit a specific type of notification. You can now do that.
Another new feature here is delivery address editing. So not everyone does deliveries, but for folks who do home delivery, this is really nice. The farmer can now update the customer's delivery from their customer's detail page. You have to find a future delivery and then click on edit address, and you can type in their new address. There might be a situation in which they say, I just want to update it for 1 week. I'm going out of town and I'd like you to drop off at my sister-in-law's house. Fine, you can update that for your customer. You can also update all their upcoming deliveries. So especially if you have a home delivery CSA, you might want to make sure that, and your customer moves, you have to update all of their future deliveries. So that's how the farmer does it. And the next page is that the customer can do this. So they go to update address, they type in their new address, and then they can update all of their deliveries starting on this date. For the customer, it will only allow you to update 2 deliveries that are within the zone. So it says, hooray, there's delivery available in your area. If you try to put in an address outside of your zone, say in this place, it says, no, you cannot update your address. So that's how that works. This has been a little bit sticky for folks. If you know how this has been a struggle, if you know that this has been a struggle in the past, you're excited to see this. For the rest of you, you might be like, that's interesting.
So the next thing to talk about is the admin order creator, which is the part of, glad to see you're excited about that, Kim. The admin order creator is the part of the dashboard where you can create orders for your customers. And so there are some exciting new things that are available through the order creator. Maybe the biggest one is this first thing, which is editing the variable weight. So and this is eventually coming to more parts of the retail platform. This is something that we built for wholesale, and we're beginning to bring it over. But say you have a product, this is particularly relevant for things that get sold by the pound. You have a product that is like 1 pound of ground beef, but the package weight is actually 1.09. You can edit the variable weight and put in the 1.09, and then the price will update and cause you to charge the specific dollar value for the amount of pounds you're selling. You can also add dates. So if you have, you've put something in the cart for a customer that is just for 1 date, but then you realize, or they tell you that they actually want to order it for multiple dates, then you can just click this add dates button and add additional dates for the same order or product to be distributed on. And you can now control whether the fees are covered by the customer when you place the order in the order creator. So that for a long time now has been a feature that was available for when your shoppers or members or customers are checking out on the platform, but now it's available for you to actually control when you're making an order for your customers.
I just want to also add that add more dates is especially useful if you are ordering SNAP boxes for a customer so that you can order for all the dates of the season. and more. So there are a couple of things that like maybe don't get their own slide, like improvements for Safari web browser. So those of you who use Safari, there have been some updates and improvements there. The chatting, like the messaging, in-app messaging that can happen now has some timestamps. There were some big changes for invoice reports, or are they big? I don't know. A new column is an exciting change for an invoice report. Again, if you have been struggling with that, then you're really excited to see it. If not, it sounds funny to hear. But so there's additional payment information for bookkeeping reconciliation. There's some new columns in some of those exports. The other thing, this isn't capitalized, whoops, is that you can, for folks who are doing a custom CSA on your customer's detail page, you can see their customer preferences now, or their like share preferences. And this comes up yesterday. Danny and I were trying to understand an odd, yes, Kim, I know you were excited for that. We were trying to understand, somebody had a CSA share with some especially spicy stuff in it. And I looked at their, like actually spicy, and I looked at their customer preferences, and there it said like, love spicy stuff. And I thought, that's why GrownBy's building you a box with all these peppers. So it's kind of a helpful tool to be like, what did this customer say they wanted? So now we're going to talk about pricing updates. Okay, go ahead, Kim.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Kim.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to ask, can you guys hear me
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
first? Okay, good. We can see them. I'm assuming we can't edit them. Is that correct?
You can't edit them.
You can't edit them. Yeah,
Okay.
only the customers can edit them.
Okay.
Or if there's, in some cases, we could maybe edit them if you need us to do something and your customer's not capable of that. So let us know.
Okay, thanks.
There are a couple of things that Danny and I can do that. So if you're ever up sort of feeling stuck, always ask.
I wonder, Kim, what's the scenario that's on your mind that brings you to ask that question?
The scenario is like somebody who doesn't understand how to use the app, and but they're very specific about what they want in there. So then I was like, I could just go in there and be like, don't give them beats.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a really legitimate use case for us to consider adding that ability. So we can update their preferences basically by logging in as them, which has to be during a customization window. So we don't have just, carte blanche editing abilities, but we can do it then. So, but yeah, thanks for telling us what that scenario is.
I also want to highlight, this is a very minimal custom share thing that is only applicable to folks doing custom shares, but I know it came up with you, Kim, is that if you needed to place an order for a customer, sometimes we can do that during your customer's customization window, although we'd rather not have to do that. But also, if you can place an order for them and use the discount code that is applicable to their order, it may be a way of making an order for someone who has a hard time has a hard time logging into the app, or is otherwise having some problem.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, we can talk about that. I can talk to anybody else about that offline. There's some things about it that are a little sticky. So let me do the next slide, Danny, and if Eric wants to talk about the third one. So let me do this one because I made this slide and it's a little imperfect. I mean, the information is correct, but just so you probably all got an email from Eric yesterday about our pricing changes. Thank you, Eric, for posting that. And Eric, I guess maybe, do you want to give an intro to pricing changes and then I'll talk about these tiers? Does that help?
Sure. Yeah. You all active accounts got emails from me with a letter from Lindsay about the change in GrownBy pricing that's effective December 1st this year. It's sort of there's a lot of ways to think about it, but I think our hope is that we're able to answer your questions and help you understand why. And also, I personally, when we were told that we were going to be changing prices internally, I was extremely worried about pricing being too high or pricing making GrownBy less inaccessible to many farms. And I am really happy with not just the pricing, but also the flexibility that we've built into this. It will make GrownBy cost more for many farms, but I don't know that it's going to make GrownBy cost a dramatic amount more, especially when I think about small farms. There's some options and choices in here that I think have made this impact where I think we've done a good job of trying to make this pricing change like the most fair it can be, because the co-op does have to continue to exist at the end of the day. So I don't know, I could go on and on. I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about this, but that was not a very like prepared statement, which that's not who I am. So anyway.
Sorry, I also sort of sprung that on you. So I strongly suggest that if you have, first of all, contact Annie or I if you have any questions about this at all. We'd be happy to talk to you. If you just want to chat it out or you want to figure out where you should be or whatever. But there is a full, Eric pinned it in the chat, there is like a full link to the pricing and what's in each tier. But I wanted to just highlight a couple of places that will have changes. So there are now sort of 4 tiers. One that is GrownBy Free, one that is GrownBy CSA, one that is GrownBy Wholesale, and one that is Plus, right? So it has both CSA and Wholesale. If you run a custom CSA, you can add that on to either GrownBy CSA or GrownBy Plus. But some of the features that are a little bit different is that offline payments won't be available in the GrownBy Free, but will be available on all of the other tiers. And then subscriptions are sort of a CSA, a CSA tool. So those are in the GrownBy CSA section and the GrownBy Plus section. Private shops or CSA groups are also something that we have always used for CSA. And so those are in the CSA tier as well as in GrownBy Plus. And then Wholesale, of course, is just for folks who need to use Wholesale. So they're in the Wholesale category or in GrownBy Plus. So there are also, there's still unlimited locations and schedules, and there's still you can have as many products as you want. You can have different buying options. All the things that used to be allowed are still happening. These are just some places where there might be a change. Where there will be a change.
Anything else to add there, Kara?
Yeah, I guess I would say we wanted to really keep a free option, right? So free meaning just at that 2%, you can require that your customers pay that or encourage your customers to pay that. But we always wanted to keep that out there. So
particularly for small farms who are using the basic features of GrownBy.
I'll just say too that these plans, we're going to call them plans versus tiers, but these plans are really designed around use case and market channel. So you use the ones that you use on GrownBy, and we're about to see this on the next slide, which maybe this is a good transition, Danny. It's just they're available annually, for a good discount, or monthly, and monthly subscriptions for these plans can be paused at any time. So as an example, I'm a small farm, I sell retail on GrownBy, and then 3 months of the year, I have enough stuff that I sell wholesale. So in my case, I'd use GrownBy Free, which is sort of how I'm using it all the time. And then for those 3 months of the year where I need wholesale features and I'm selling wholesale, I would turn on a GrownBy Wholesale plan subscription, pay $50 a month for those 3 months, and then turn it off when I'm done with the wholesale season. So this is sort of where like the practical part of a lot of flexibility and choice into how you use these plans and how they were built. We very intentionally didn't make this into like tiers where like if you want to do CSA, you have to just be premium GrownBy, which comes with wholesale, which you might not need. We tried to price this out into discrete sections that farmers could pick and choose the ones that like they're actually using or that they see the value in from GrownBy.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. Yeah, so this pricing is what will be taking effect December 1st, and we're asking folks to sign up for the tier that they, or the plan that they want to be in, need to be in by December 1st. And if you do that, then you'll get an additional 25% off of the year. So yeah, you can see these numbers here. I don't necessarily need to read them all to you, but just to point out that annual pays less on a monthly basis than the monthly. If you're a member, you pay less than a non-member for annual. And if you sign up by December 1st, then you pay less, even more less. So those are the numbers, and we're, again, really happy to talk with any farms about this and discuss the whys. I'll say that one additional piece of the why here is that, as you all know, there have been a lot of funding changes. The availability of federal funds for projects like GrownBy and Farm Generations Cooperative and for all of our farms has shifted dramatically with the new administration. And so our cooperative has relied pretty heavily on grant funding over the past 5 years. And we are not feeling like that's a sustainable and stable way forward anymore. Or it's not a feeling, it's a reality. And so that is just something that that is one of the factors that's going into this. And we want to be here to serve all of us, all of you, into the future, and this pricing increase is necessary for that. But we don't take it lightly, and it's something that we've talked about a lot internally and had many discussions about when and how much to increase prices by. So happy to answer any questions anytime, whether on this call or otherwise. Yeah, Chris or Brenda, please.
It's Brenda. Hi there.
Hi, Brenda. How's it going?
I appreciate the care with which you are communicating this change in pricing. We want everybody to have a living wage, and so having sustainable income for your cooperative makes a lot of sense. I would appreciate some transparency about the timeline, and just sort of without that context as a point of feedback for y'all. December 1st is a really tight deadline for those of us who are in the middle of a veg season. And so it gives us very little time to think about how this impacts our business, to research alternatives, to think about what a transition to an alternative would look like for our CSA re-enrollment, which happens, in December. I wonder if there is any thoughts about flexibility about that timeline for farmers who are literally in the middle of juggling everything and will be closing out their season right up until December 1st for the most part.
Yeah, thank you, Brenda. I think that is, yeah, it's something that's not lost on us, the tightness of this timeline. And I think that I can't say that there is or isn't flexibility about it just off the cuff, but it's something that we can talk about as a team for sure. So I appreciate that feedback a lot. If there aren't any other questions or comments or discussion about the pricing, which are welcome if there are, then we'll move on to the last little bit of the presentation, which is about what's coming down the pike in the next couple of months. All right, go ahead.
I have a question. This is Emily from 8 Acres.
Yeah.
This kind of goes off of the last comment and just like planning mostly.
Yeah.
So I use GrownBy only for wholesale, and I've been using it for our wholesale accounts with our florists. And it's been working awesomely. And so, yeah, again, totally get this all. But logistically, knowing that you all want to know what people are needing and wanting and what's successful and, you know, getting that own data on your end. You know, I'm realistically not going to use GrownBy again until May,
Right.
because that's
Right.
when my customers need it. And so, like, what exactly are you asking for? Like, in regards to that, can I, like, do I need to sign up for something, or can I just wait till May and when I like revive my GrownBy, you know, to send out all to my customers again, just do it then?
Yeah, so you could absolutely wait until May.
Okay,
And the thing that you would be missing out on if you did that would be the
Yeah.
additional 25% that we're offering for an annual plan. And if you
Yeah.
didn't plan to use an annual plan anyway, and you were just going to have you're just going to pay monthly for the months May through October or whatever when you're selling your flowers, then you could choose to do that, and that's totally fine.
Okay, great. So you can sign up anytime, or sign in or turn on or turn off things at whenever needed.
That's correct. Yes. The one clarification I'll make about that, which wouldn't impact you, Emily, but would impact CSA farmers, is that when you don't have a subscription that's active, then you can't edit or sell. You can't edit your CSA products, and you can't sell your CSA products. So those operations can only be done when you're actively paying a monthly or have paid an annual subscription.
Cool.
But you could potentially, correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, you could potentially pay for your CSA during the months where you're selling your CSA and then turn it off for the months when it's just like, you know, if you filled up your shares, you could turn it off, and then you could carry on with your distributions.
Yeah, I don't know where we landed with that, because so these subscriptions are, the way that it works is, let's say you have wholesale turned on, those wholesale features will appear in your GrownBy store, and when you stop paying for pause wholesale, they will no longer appear. You won't be able to modify or edit. And the same thing happens with subscriptions. So I don't know if technically you could pay for a month of CSA wholesale, sell it all in that month, pause your CSA wholesale, and then distributions would continue, but you would not be able to interact with, modify, or any sort of anything with
Your
those orders. So I don't know about the wisdom of doing that.
Yeah.
Does that help, Emily?
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Cool.
And I
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
button that, Emily, too, is that this whole like December 1st thing is, if you're planning to use GrownBy, this is an important, if you're going to use GrownBy for CSA or wholesale, it's a very important timeline to know. But if you're planning to use GrownBy Wholesale, like how Emily was talking about, for next summer, where you don't need to make any choices by December 1st, you're not going to be using wholesale or CSA in that immediate time frame. Everyone will be, sort of all active accounts will be automatically enrolled as GrownBy free on December 1st, so you don't need to take any action by December 1st.
Right. Yeah, if you take no action, then you'll be in the free plan.
Someone else raised a hand, I think.
Was there another question?
I have one follow-up question to
Yeah,
that.
please.
So, for example, right now, I have, like I said, I've been using GrownBy for my to sell only wholesale. So I have a bunch of data in there, right? Of course, of like all the things that I sold this year, and I'm going to be using that this winter, so to make decisions about next summer and whatnot. So, in saying that everybody who has a current account with GrownBy is going to be set into this free account, which is awesome and makes sense. Do we still have access to like past information and things like that? Is that going to change?
Yes,
You'll
you'll have access to all of your orders,
Awesome.
invoices, all that kind of stuff is still accessible regardless. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I would say that, I mean, specifically that question is like a very clear values question for us, because as you all are probably aware, something that is done in the tech world that we we disagree with pretty strongly, is this like holding of data as like the intellectual property of the platform that you're on, and we are pretty fundamentally opposed to that. And so any data that you have is always, we make a point of making sure that any data that is yours and is about your customers and your orders and your finances, that's always available to you regardless. And we'll make every even upon leaving the platform, if that's something that someone chooses to do, we'll make every effort to make sure that you have the data that you need in the forms that you need it. So yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. Cool.
Great. So what's coming next? So as especially those of you who have been with us for a bit, you know that there's kind of always many of these changes that we're recapping today have been brought up by you. So there may be lots of things that you bring up within the next few months that make it into our next release. But the thing that we are really working on as a team for what's coming next is Register, which is a point of sale system. That'll be GrownBy's point of sale system. So that will be you can use it at farmers markets or at a farm stand, able to swipe or tap people's cards. And that, again, is in response to farms who are like, I would love to have all of my inventory in one place, all of my customers in one place. And so Register will be really great for farmers market farms who want to be able to see all their stuff across one platform. Or you may be doing Register, which is the POS, plus Wholesale, plus CSA. There's, you might be using all of those marketing channels.
And also just to say, like, as far as the timeline for Register, we're starting to test it internally over the next couple of weeks, and we're hoping to release it, around the new year, maybe a little bit after. The timeline isn't totally like set in stone, but I just wanted to mention that when we say next, it's really soon. And so this is something that you could think about using for next season.
Do y'all have any idea what that will cost, the POS system?
We do. Eric, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I don't know that we know exactly. Do you know exactly, Kara?
Oh, no,
I've seen different numbers.
Okay. I thought that it was sort of already kind of set by the way that the credit cards work, but I could be wrong. And maybe we don't know exactly. Danny, is that an answer you have right off your head? No?
I don't. I'm sorry, James. I think that that's still a discussion that we're working on and trying to figure out what the numbers will look like. I mean, I can say that there will be, as probably credit card processing fees, but then there's going to be a GrownBy cost for that on top of it. So yeah,
there'll be a monthly subscription or annual option for point of sale. Yeah. And we just don't know exactly what that number means.
Yeah, sorry that we don't have that.
Sorry, sorry also that I sounded so confident.
Sorry, more so for like the hardware. Is it like one of the, like some of the POS people here in town, they're like, offer me, we'll give it to you for free, but you have to pay for it on a rental basis, but we own it. Right.
Yeah, as far as hardware, we are not planning to sell GrownBy hardware for this, so it'll be an app that can run on either an Apple or an Android tablet, and so that'll leave you open to you. I believe that we will make some recommendations or offer some possibilities for that, but it could run on an iPad, it could run on a Samsung tablet, it can run on a phone also, either Android or iOS. So yeah, I think that's the answer to that piece of the question, James. And what you will be paying for would be a subscription for that particular service, that set of services.
JK asked about if there's been any improvements on the speed of the app, and it's the biggest issue they have. and that it'd be a hard time using it as a point of sale. I'll answer I think speed of apps and things are sometimes very device dependent too. So there's a lot of factors that could go into that. But for the point of sale, that is a separate structure. It's like a whole nother sort of thing. And I haven't tested it. We haven't tested it yet, but the demonstrations that engineering has shared is like, I don't know, I use Square for my point of sale at my farmer's market right now, and it's speedy, and GrownBy point of sale will also be speedy. Any other point of sale things, and then we'll get to Chris or Brenda.
I just also to JK's question, like I'm imagining that what you're using is the admin order creator as a point of sale system. I'm guessing, and I'll just validate that. Yeah, sometimes the admin order creator, especially on a phone, can be a bit slow, and we have been putting work into speeding that up, and we will continue to put work into it. And so if there are particular like moments, if you notice that it's like when you add a schedule or when you add a product or when you know, add a customer, whatever it is, if you can identify those particular moments and what platform you're on for us, and you can tell us those things, that's super helpful in helping us track down the places where the dashboard is a little bit slow on different devices.
Yes, I invite you to complain to us.
Yeah, please.
Because it helps us know where the problems are happening.
Brenda?
Thanks, Danny.
Yeah.
Unrelated to POS, other what's coming next question. Do you all have any updates on the hopefully work being done / timeline to get bilingual or multiple languages supported on the apps?
That's such a good question. Yeah, it's something that, you know, we talk about multiple times a year, and I can't say that we do have an update about that. And I know that we have gone back and forth with you, and we've gone back and forth with other producers about these questions, and it's something that we care about, and we have not figured out yet what we can and want to do about it. I think sometimes it seems like the answer is that there are enough translation services available for browser-based stuff that those services work, but these questions keep coming up, and so it seems clear that isn't sufficient for everyone. So yeah, and it might be helpful. It might be helpful to have another conversation with you, Brenda, about like what particularly would be helpful for your farm.
And where are the places that a browser translation isn't working for you?
Or even whether a browser translation or browser-based tool, whether that's even a thing that is helpful or something that your customers use. Because I could also see like us thinking, oh, these tools are out there, but the reality on the ground is different than that.
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm probably like your worst nightmare customer because I'm coming to farming with a design and user interface background, which is always going to be fun for you guys.
That's actually helpful.
We want all of your suggestions.
So I think, I mean, like I am familiar with browser-based translation tools, and I think a lot of people who are who spend a lot of time on a device for their work are familiar, but we're talking about accessibility of food here, and like the majority of people do not know how to toggle language in their browser.
Totally.
And the majority of people aren't aware of those tools. And I think it's a real accessibility issue if there isn't an option, like a clear, visible option for folks to see on the site that they can access all of this in a language that they're comfortable in, especially because it's an exchange of money, right? And online checkout is a complicated process, and you guys have done a great job making it as clear and simple as possible from user interface perspective. But like customer trust is a big thing when we're asking them to pay online. And if we can do that in their most comfortable language, that's going to be really, really, really helpful for them.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a ton of sense. And I appreciate you just like, I don't know, ringing that bell or whatever. Like, yeah. We hear you. I wish that I had an update, and I wish that I could tell you that it's like clearly on the roadmap at a specific, you know, on a specific timeline. But to my knowledge, it is not clearly on the roadmap right now. And following this call, we'll talk about that again as a team and see how we could get it on the roadmap. It has seemed to me over the past years that it is something that we should be able to grant fund. And maybe that's true, and maybe it's not, and maybe that's changed as the funding landscape has changed over the past year. But regardless of that, just really appreciate you raising the question again and making a clear case for it. Any other questions? Anyone else have anything else that they're wondering or want to discuss? I think that's the next slide is just, we are happy to answer questions. Or when did we start this too? So we're about at time as far as the hour, but we're happy to hang around a little bit and answer questions for anyone who has them. We'll be sharing this recording out as we usually do. And yeah, we really want to hear from you all. If there are things that you've been wanting or want to change, or things that are annoying, or things that aren't working, we always want to hear those things. And support@grownby.app is the email address that kind of reaches all of us, and we share for the help desk. And yeah, and you can find all of our support articles at the link that Eric will put in the chat, and let us know if we can help anytime. Thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate your presence and your participation in this project. It would not be moving forward without all of you participating so actively. So thank you so much.